Hello, Ryan here, and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday. This is a weekly show which covers all of the news from the week just past. Be sure to subscribe if you like what you see, and let's get on with it. This week, most of Alpha 315's features are now committed, plus we take a closer look at the upcoming medical, injury and healing mechanics coming in the next patch, so it is a show not to be missed. So this week's Inside Star Citizen was a bit of a two-parter, taking a deeper look at two big systems coming in Alpha 315. These are the player medical and healing and the personal inventory. Now these two new systems are essentially mechanics that will drastically change the shape of Star Citizen's persistent universe and have been part of the bigger picture since Star Citizen's conception. These are major factors into the whole Death of a Spaceman system that Chris Roberts spoke about way back in the early days of the project. So for this week's Inside Star Citizen, it was all about the player injury and healing mechanics, with next week's show delving further into the personal inventory system and looting. So the very premise of the Death of a Spaceman is to bring consequence to death, creating more of a reason for why players will want to keep their characters alive. Now this Death of a Spaceman system is now beginning to receive its next major push with Alpha 315 as they introduce various types of severities of injury and more ways to attend to those injuries, as well as offering an option for those who are maybe more medically orientated to come to your aid. So there will be many various new injury severities for your arms, your legs, your head and your torso, and each severity will have associated side effects that will hinder your abilities the more serious the injury gets. There is also the chance to become incapacitated if you sustain too much damage, and instead of just instantly dying and having to respawn like we do now, you will become sort of unconscious and go into a down state. And this can last minutes, like half an hour, up to 2 hours, depending on, again, the severity of your injury. This will then give other players the time and opportunity to come and rescue you. Now, some of these injuries include traumatic head injuries, they could be chest wounds, they could be broken arms and legs, and for the head specifically, as you sustain more and more damage, you will suffer certain effects, mostly visual for the moment, like blood vision impeding your view. Force reactions will also come into play, where the player's reaction to the elements like wind, causing more of a stumble or a potential knockdown depending on how bad the head injury is. For the chest, you may suffer from reduced stamina and your general health will suffer as well, putting you in a more weakened state and also hindering your locomotion. For arms, as you attain more and more damage, you will see more weapon sway or even not being able to carry anything at all. For example, if you have a broken arm, this will prohibit you from climbing ladders, mantling objects, or as mentioned before, stopping you from being able to carry boxes and such. They did say that with broken arms though, you will be able to perform a one-shot action. So for example, pulling the trigger of a weapon and then you will be forced back into a low carry mode again. So you may be able to use your arms maybe to sloppily mantle over something, but you will be very restricted. Now for legs, you will again see the various effects based on the severity. Limping, for example, which will restrict your movement, but also if you get a broken leg, then you will be locked into prone. Now I would expect later down the line to get animations for broken legs rather than just being stuck in a prone option, but it looks like for 315 you are just literally locked in prone as it is today. So of course all of these injuries need to be treated, which if you are in the field, the option of using a medipen will still be a thing, and the red pen, the one that we have at the moment, will heal your overall health pool. However, it won't heal you all the way back to maximum, only the most it can, depending on the injuries you've received. It also won't fix any injuries you have sustained either, which we will get to soon. The other 4 pens offer other treatment, and these drugs can be used to treat pain, drug addiction, muscle fatigue, headaches, and so on and so forth. However, these medipens are used to mask symptoms for a specific duration, which will be based on how much you have taken and the method of applying them, so via either the medipen, medical attachment for the multi-tool, or the dedicated medical gun. Obviously there are medical beds as well, and the efficacy of each will increase through these options. Now you can't just merrily take multiple drugs without consequence. You'll need to be monitoring your blood drug level, which either you, if you're treating yourself, you'll need to monitor your own, or if someone is treating you, they will need to pay attention to your blood drug level, which will affect your character. And if you take too much and this goes for alcohol as well, you will start to suffer other effects, like visual effects, like blurred vision, muffled audio, and if you continue to do so, you will enter kind of like a drunk locomotion mode, so staggering around as you move. Now, if you reach 100% on your blood drug level bar, you will enter an overdosed state, which is very similar to being incapacitated or unconscious, so you'll be on the floor unable to move, seeing the screen fade in and out. But the big difference here is that your blood drug level does decay, so eventually you will be able to just ride it out and get back on your feet again. So we can treat symptoms with devices, but how do you cure these issues and remove the effects completely? Again, based on your severity of your injury, you will need to get to a medical facility or a medical bed. So there are minor, moderate and severe injuries. The Cutlass Red will have a tier 3 bed, and this can only treat minor injuries. The Carrack and the 890 Jump and the Rest Stop clinics are tier 2 beds. These can treat minor and moderate injuries, and then the tier 1 beds are the main landing zone hospitals that can completely remove all injuries. And this finally brings us to the character death. You will no longer respawn in your hab, you will respawn in a medical bed at the location of your choosing. And these locations include hospitals, clinics, the Carrack or the 890 Jump. So no longer the Cutlass Red, only tier 2 and above beds allow you to respawn. And so from 315 onwards, when you log in, you choose your primary residence location, which is where all of your ships and items will be initially stored, and any future items purchased either in-game or from the website, and this includes subflare, these will be sent to your primary residence locations as well. Very much like the sound of this. When you choose your primary residence, you will automatically respawn at the nearest medical facility to that primary residence. So for 315, this will be Orison or the New Babbage Hospital, but if you are choosing Lawville or Area 18 as your residence, it'll be the main space stations above until those locations get their own hospitals. Now, if you have set your respawn point to the Carrack or the A90 Jump and then that ship gets destroyed, it is no longer an option for you to respawn, so you will go back to your original default location. Now, if you are incapacitated, you will have a significant period of time, as we've said, to wait it out for people to come and rescue you, and with the severity of the damage you took, this will affect the time you will have available to be rescued. More damage means you'll have less time to be rescued, less damage means you'll have more time. And this, as we mentioned before, could be around 30 minutes up to 2 hours. Now, if you are executed, then you will be forced to respawn. And of course, if you don't want to wait around to be rescued, you can just respawn immediately. However, if you do so, you will be leaving behind your body and all the items and gear that you had on you at the time of death. And this, they say, will lead on to next week's Inside Star Citizen as they take a look into personal inventory and looting. So quite a lot of information to go there. I am working on a more dedicated video to talk and explain further about how all of this will work and why it is an extremely important part of the Star Citizen experience. And I know there's many out there who are probably not too happy with this system, or at the very least worried about how and what it will mean with being in an alpha and the issues and bugs that we have right now. I personally love this, and I look forward to seeing how it will work and ultimately change how we just approach everything in the verse, from combat to exploration on planets, and even the day-to-day missions like mining or the derelict traversal missions, as taking more care and thinking ahead will be more necessary. Yes, bugs will most certainly be a pain, and on many if not most occasions in Star Citizen I actually die due to bugs. But hopefully with 315 and beyond, they will continue to address these and fix these issues. Hopefully this will bring a lot of fixes in for 315 because they will be more prioritized and there will be less issues that would force a death. Now, of course, we need more information about looting and our inventory, but what I'm most excited to notice, which we haven't really had much of an explanation on, is the option to trigger a revival mission. I get the impression that this will send out some form of beacon to offer the opportunity for other players to come and rescue you and fix you up or deliver you to a hospital. As Jared did say at the end of the show, it'll offer gameplay opportunities for field medics. We will need to hear more about this next week on Inside Star Citizen, so I won't delve too much into it yet, as we don't have all the facets of how it will work. And obviously things like people trolling you or coming and just looting you would be an obvious problem, but I'm sure they will think of ways around this. Personally, I am really excited for Alpha 3.15. This will be a major step into the full Star Citizen experience, and it already sounds great, and over time it will evolve to be even more. Will there be issues bringing this system in now as we are in Alpha? Of course there will, but I do feel like this is such an important mechanic that getting it in early to iron out these issues is a good idea, as death is going to be a big deal, and getting this system working as intended before the consequences become severe and final will be a huge benefit. My hype is, if you can't tell, already through the roof, and I very much look forward to Inside Star Citizen next week to finish off this two-parter. But with that said, let us move on. So also this week, the narrative team answered many of our questions in a new Lawmakers Community Questions post, which delves further into the UEE military ranks, the Fair Chance Act, and more. Ship Showdown is going strong, with the 16 ships chosen by the community now going head-to-head to vote for the winner. The roadmap saw changes on Wednesday, which I have covered in a separate video linked in the description below should you want to check up on that. There was also a new AMA on Spectrum, which spoke further about the current and future plans for dynamic events. I will break this down at some point if you haven't had a chance to read it yet, so do keep an eye out for that one. And finally, this week's Star Citizen Live was unfortunately cancelled due to many members of the video team who would be working on Star Citizen Live travelling for the Digital CitizenCon. So they are obviously getting set up for that one, which I am super excited for. But as a knock-on effect of that, we didn't get a Star Citizen Live, and they did say it will return next week. So that brings us to the end of the show. If you do enjoy my content, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. Also, I am able to do this thanks to my very generous patrons and channel members. If you appreciate what I do and would like to help make it even better from as little as $1 a month, all of the links are provided below.